When a woman learns to control her emotions and reconnects with her true worth, she no longer begs for love, does she? She awakens it. And the best part is, she doesn't have to chase it. Love returns on its own. No, this isn't magic. It's psychology. Do you know that feeling, sister? That feeling of being replaced, like an old piece of furniture, without explanation, without closure. But listen closely. This isn't the end. This is the beginning of a new version of yourself. Because what you do now in this moment of emptiness will determine whether you degrade or rebirth. Most people make the same mistake. They chase. They send messages as if the phone is an extension of their dignity. They beg, justify, humiliate themselves. And with each desperate attempt, they lose value. It's like trying to put out a fire with emotional gasoline. Sound familiar? Don't worry, you're not alone. But now is the time to change the game. Today you'll learn why silence, detachment, and personal rebirth are not just tips. They are real weapons, both psychological and emotional. And no, you don't need to become a guru or read 100 self-help books. All you need is courage. The courage to act differently, because a woman who stops asking for love begins to generate it without saying a word, simply by her presence. Watch until the end, because this video is not for emotional beggars. It's for women who are ready to transform into such an authentic and strong version of themselves that even the past stops and looks back twice. And listen closely. It's not about him, it's about you, about your return to your center, about reconnecting with your true self. Because the moment you stop needing him, he starts needing you. This very silence speaks louder than 1,000 desperate messages. Have you ever felt that the more you talk, the less you're heard? Let me tell you something, sister. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is a strategy. When he left, you probably did what many do. You sought explanations, begged for one last chance. But all that noise only reinforced his decision to leave. Do you know why? Because that noise screams desperation. And desperation, sister, is the most disgusting perfume a woman can wear. Now listen closely. When you choose silence, you don't disappear. You leave a deeper imprint. Emotional silence doesn't mean surrender. It means ceasing to fuel a fire that only burns your own energy. And when someone gets used to your constant presence, your messages, your availability, absence begins to weigh more than any accusations. Then he starts to wonder, why isn't she reaching out? Does she not need me anymore? Could there be someone else? It's like walking down a noisy street every day. And suddenly, complete silence. What do? You stop. You feel like something is missing. That's how intelligent detachment works. It's not disappearing. It creates such a strong contrast that the other person cannot ignore it. The philosopher Epictetus clearly stated, "First understand the meaning of what you want to say, and then speak." In this case, first understand what your silence is saying, and let him interpret it himself. Because when you don't give explanations, he starts to make up his own. And this, sister, is no coincidence. It's an emotional strategy. It's no secret to women who have learned to control their emotions. Do you know what happens when a woman who always reacted instantly suddenly disappears? She leaves a void. And human nature hates a void. Instinctively, we try to fill it. The man who used to ignore you without hesitation begins to feel that something has changed. You are no longer there to help him. You no longer applaud him, no longer remind him how special he is. And without realizing it, you become a constant thought, an unanswered question. Let me tell you a true story about a girl. She was blocked on all social media platforms. And what did she do? Nothing. She didn't retaliate, didn't cry on social media, didn't send messages, didn't beg, didn't send gifts. Complete silence. What did she focus on? Herself. She focused on her body, finances, and mindset. 2 months later, he returned with a pathetic excuse. "I dreamed about you." It wasn't a coincidence. It was the result of strategically used silence. Because silence doesn't just communicate, it creates. While she was silent, she regained her self-esteem, rediscovered parts of herself she had forgotten because she was focusing too much on him. And when you do this inner work, everything external changes. Your energy, your posture, your gaze changes. And he feels this, sister, even from thousands of miles away. Silence is not appeasement. It is a charge force, an emotional time bomb. Eliminate the urge to write to him today. No good mornings, no memes, no subtle hints, nothing. Make yourself emotionally unavailable. Delete him if necessary. Not to forget him, but to show yourself that you won't waste your energy on someone who doesn't value it. And while you do that, grow. Every silence should be worth 10 steps of inner growth. Think about it. Every time you write to him, every time you explain, ask, beg, you are sending, even without words, a very clear message. I need you so much that I can't live without you. And that message, sister, pushes him away. Because all of us, without exception, desire what is difficult to obtain, not what is handed to us on a silver platter. Strategic silence is like a diet for the soul. At first, it's unpleasant, painful, uncomfortable, but over time, it makes you stronger, more focused, transformative. And this new energy does not go unnoticed. It's as if you're broadcasting on a new frequency that silently says, I am full from within myself. So stop trying to convince him with words. Let your absence be your loudest voice. Because listen closely. The one who is silent commands. The one who chases loses. And the one who grows quietly becomes unforgettable. Stop shouting where no one will hear you. Start creating such a profound silence that it forces him to go and look for you. Because when you pull away, he starts to draw closer. Has it ever happened to you that he suddenly appeared just when you emotionally detached? This is where many fail. They think detachment means indifference, but in reality it means influence. When you shift your focus, something happens in the male brain. You are no longer predictable. You are no longer always available. You become unknown. And the human brain, especially the male brain, hates a void. Attention creates a habit. And when you break that habit, when you are suddenly no longer there, he feels that something has been lost. Even if he can't put it into words, this is true reverse psychology. It's not about manipulating him. It's about demonstrating through action that the dynamic has changed, that emotionally, you are no longer in the same place. You ignore him not out of pride, you do it out of wisdom. Because the one who does not appreciate your presence must feel your absence without warning. It's like taking sugar away from someone who has drunk sweet coffee their whole life. At first, they don't understand what's missing, but they feel it. And even if they don't admit it, they miss it. The taste has changed, and that very shift, that tension, that contrast between what was and what is now, activates something primal in the male mind. The hunting instinct. When something pulls away, when someone becomes unavailable, our first instinct is to pursue, not out of weakness, but because we are human. And this instinct is even stronger in men, as they are evolutionarily programmed to pursue what retreats and conquer what seems unattainable. Marcus Aurelius wisely said, "The best revenge is to be unlike your enemy." And what does that mean in this context? It means you won't demean yourself. You won't beg, plead, or fight for recognition, like many others. You will respond not with drama, but with focus, a new version of yourself, a version he never expected. You don't react. You think strategically. And that calm, sister, that unwavering composure throws everyone off balance. Reverse psychology works because it changes something fundamental, the power dynamic. Think about it for a moment. When someone is chasing you, you maintain control. You decide whether to react, whether to give attention, whether to be present or not. But if you were always available before and suddenly disappear, the control shifts, and now he is the one asking, where is she? Why isn't she texting? What has changed? This shift in energy creates closeness. Let me tell you another true story. A girl spent nights writing painful poems, posting indirect messages, dedicating sad songs in her stories, until one day she went completely silent. She started going to the gym, focused on her business, and disappeared emotionally. And guess what happened? He, already with another woman, texted her 2 weeks later with an innocent line, "Are you okay?" But that "are you okay" concealed something deeper, concern in the face of her transformation. Because when you change, when you shift your energy, when you are no longer available, you create an imbalance. And people always strive to restore what they cannot control. This is addictive. So apply it. Truly, no contact, no glances, no questions about him, no analyzing his stories. Live your life. Re-envision your days. Turn every minute without him into a scene of personal growth. Your distance is not indifference. It's a change of position. And this change of position is not only external, but internal. It's a silent statement that says, I am no longer where you lost me. You are reorganizing your thoughts, your priorities, your values. You are no longer the one waiting for a message. You are the one walking your own path. And this emotional independence is magnetically attractive. Stop trying to be remembered. Become someone unforgettable. Because when you change your energy, you change the game. And you are not here to be another option. You are here to be the woman who no longer begs, because now she is the one who is chosen. The rare is more desired, because what we cannot have is precisely what fascinates us most. There's a rule that never fails. What is in abundance loses value. This applies to money, time, and people. When you were always available, when you were the first to text, when you asked how he was, he got used to it. And what becomes routine is taken for granted. It becomes invisible. Think about it. Do you value the air you breathe? Probably not, because it's always there. But if you've ever suffocated for even a few seconds, then you know its true worth. The same applies to your emotional presence. When you are constantly there, you become part of the background. But when you disrupt that flow, everything changes. Your emotional scarcity begins to trigger something in his mind. A chain of questions without immediate answers. Why did she leave? What happened? Does she not love me anymore? And this whirlwind of uncertainty, this feeling of not knowing, is more powerful than any poem, any romantic message. Because now you are no longer predictable. You are a mystery. It's like a plant that was always green and suddenly wilts. Only then does someone realize what they had. Or like the bread that was always on the table. No one notices it until one day it's gone, and suddenly everyone wants it. This isn't a game. It's a universal law, the law of scarcity. Economists know it, psychologists confirm it, and wise women apply it. When something becomes scarce, its perceived value increases immeasurably, and your attention, your energy, your love are no exception. Aesop clearly stated, "We do not value what we have until we lose it." But listen closely. A truly stoic woman does not act to be valued. She acts to stay centered. She does not seek validation, but her presence is noticed, and her absence echoes. This principle extends far beyond love. It applies to all human interactions. Have you noticed? The most sought-after people, the busiest, those who are selective with their time. They are also the most respected. Coincidence? Of course not. Their unavailability increases their value. A woman who used to be available 24/7, texting, calling, doing favors, wasn't valued until one day she had enough. She disappeared. She started posting photos of workouts, travel, and her personal growth. She didn't block him, didn't make hints, didn't write bitter messages. She just became unavailable. As a result, he came back confused, insecure, looking for any excuse to reconnect. But it was too late. She was no longer emotionally there, and that was stronger, more impactful, and more brutal than any complaint. Do you see the pattern? Abundance creates indifference. Scarcity creates urgency. When you are constantly available, he could afford to ignore you. But when you disappear, when your emotional presence becomes rare, his mind starts racing nonstop. You are no longer guaranteed access. You are a lost opportunity. And this, sister, creates a kind of anxiety that no pleas could ever evoke. Today, limit your availability. Don't respond immediately. Don't be constantly available. Tune into yourself, but don't play games or use cheap tricks, because you are busy creating something bigger. If he wants to know about you, he has to make an effort to discover a new version of you. And remember, this is not about pretending scarcity or playing meaningless emotional games. It's about your time, your energy, and your attention now belonging to you, your growth, your goals, your inner peace. When you are truly focused on your development, emotional scarcity happens naturally because you no longer have time to beg for attention when you are busy building your inner empire. Being emotionally scarce is not coldness. It is wisdom. It is emotional intelligence in its purest form. Because while others chase, you calmly but resolutely walk towards your center. And that is not only noticeable, it is irresistible. Stop giving away your energy as if it has no value. Become so valuable that he cannot ignore you, even if he tries. This is not a trick. It's a necessity, a quiet urgency that cries from your soul. Because if you remain the same, emotionally dependent, insecure, empty, then every attempt to reconnect will seem not like strength, but like desperation, just better disguised. But when you begin to rebuild yourself from the pain, slowly but without pause, something changes. And that change is palpable. Even if he doesn't see you, doesn't talk to you, the energy isn't sent via WhatsApp. It's felt. It's like a house that once lay in ruins. And months later, a magnificent structure stands in its place. Anyone who saw it destroyed cannot help but look with awe at what was built there. And this new, that's you. A complete reconstruction. Not just a superficial image, but a rebuilding of your foundation, your self-worth, your dignity, your essence. Because it's not about changing your appearance or posting inspirational quotes on Instagram. That's just emotional makeup. What's truly important is what cannot be seen. The calm you now feel when you are alone. The strength you have built in silence. The parts of yourself you have rediscovered when you stop revolving your life around someone else. Personal rebirth is an alchemical process. You transform the lead of pain into the gold of wisdom. And this cannot be faked, rushed, or bought. It requires inner work. Meeting yourself, confronting your patterns, healing wounds, calming fears. But every step takes you further from the version that needed validation and closer to your most authentic self. As Seneca said, while you live, keep learning how to live. This is true rebirth, the understanding that it's never too late to become your best version. And that pain was never your enemy. It was your teacher. A girl was left immediately after losing her job. She broke down, hit rock bottom. But she didn't stay there. She rebuilt herself, changed her body, learned something new, started her own project. A year later, he came back. And you know what she did? She thanked him. Because without that breakup, she would have never woken up. He came looking for the woman he left and found someone completely different, stronger, more focused, unreachable. This is not an exception. It's a pattern, a path many have walked and one you can walk too if you understand this truth. Rejection is not the end. It's the beginning of something new. The pain of a breakup can become your greatest fuel for personal growth if you use it as gasoline, not an excuse. And the most beautiful, most liberating part is this. Over time, you no longer worry about whether he will come back because you understand that you weren't looking for his approval. You were looking for your own. The true love you needed to rediscover was the one you had for yourself. Make a list today. What do you want to improve about yourself, your body, your mindset, your habits, your goals, and work on it every day, not for him, for yourself, because when you become unreachable, people will seek you out. And if they return, it won't be out of need, but out of admiration. Personal rebirth is the hardest path, but also the most rewarding. Because while many wait for a message, you wait for results. While others beg for attention, you develop inner strength. And in that, sister, lies the difference between someone who begs and someone who chooses. Don't beg for a second chance. Rebuild yourself so powerfully that he wants it. And if he does, then you are the one who decides. Because the woman who transforms doesn't ask, she chooses. What he doesn't know about you drives him crazy. After a breakup, many fall into the same trap of maintaining contact. They believe that if they stay around, stay close, show him their best version, he will eventually realize what he lost. But that's the mistake. Maintaining contact does only one thing. It keeps him comfortable. Because as long as he knows you're still there, just a text away, not completely gone. There's no urgency, no feeling of loss, no value. And what is guaranteed, sister, is not cherished. Do you know what truly has power? Absolute silence. No blocking, no messages, no reactions, just emotional disappearance. Because when you are no longer there, when your energy leaves, his imagination takes over. And the male mind, when it lacks information, starts to create stories. Is she with someone else? Is she gone? Why isn't she reaching out? Did she forget about me? This isn't indifference, it's desire in disguise. Attention disguised as doubt. It's like a show that suddenly stops airing new episodes. What do viewers do? They become restless, look for spoilers, develop theories, become obsessed. The same thing happens when you disappear without explanation. You become an unfinished story. And sister, unfinished stories are addictive. The human mind is wired to complete patterns, to find meaning, to fill in the blanks. And when you cut off contact, no drama, no hints, just absolute absence, you create a space that his mind will endlessly try to fill. And in that attempt, things are triggered in him that no message from you could ever evoke. Because when you are silent, his mind starts to speak. And what he projects in your absence is more powerful than any explanations. Silence is like a blank canvas, and he paints on it with his fears, his desires, his regrets. Epictetus stated it clearly. Don't explain your philosophy, embody it. The same applies here. Don't explain your distance. Don't announce your disappearance. Don't ask for permission to withdraw. Live it. Disappear with dignity. Be silent elegantly. Because silence needs no justification. Silence works. A guy blocked his ex everywhere on Instagram, WhatsApp, everywhere. And she said nothing. Not a single attempt to get him back. No hints, no public tears, no begging, just silence, just focus, just growth. Months later, he texted her from a fake account. How are you? Coincidence? Definitely not. Pure psychology, because when you deny access, you create obsession. What we can't have becomes our greatest desire. And this principle works because it touches something primal, something raw, the fear of irreversible loss. As long as you are around, reachable, he knows he can come back anytime. He has time, options, control. But when you disappear without a trace, no drama, no warning, his mind panics. The fear of losing you forever kicks in. And that fear is a stronger motivator than any emotions. No likes, no, how are you? No, I saw your story. Nothing. Complete silence. And while you are silent, you must do something to justify your absence. Study, train, start a project, heal, grow. Because if you ever return, you cannot be the same woman. You must be a new version, one that will leave him speechless. This silence is not passive, it is incredibly active. You are not waiting for him to come back. You are building a life so full, so vibrant, so completely yours, that neither his presence nor his absence defines your joy. The one who chases creates anxiety. The one who disappears creates curiosity. And curiosity is the first step to desire. Because as long as you are talking, you are not giving him a chance to miss you. But when you choose silence, he starts to scream inside. And never forget, magnetic silence is not a short-term tactic. It is not a strategy to get him back. It is a way of life, a state of mind where you are no longer dependent on his attention to feel whole. Because a woman who rebuilds herself in silence becomes unforgettable. Nights full of tears, mornings full of fear, days full of doubt. All of it is part of the process. Don't deny it. Don't avoid it. Live it. Because every tear is a seed. Every silence is an act of self-love. Every day without contact is a quiet statement. I no longer give myself away to anyone. Do you know what the most powerful thing about all of this is? There comes a point where you are no longer pretending. You're not pretending to be okay. You are truly okay. You're not acting strong. You have become strong. You are no longer thinking about how to get him back. You are focused on never losing yourself again. And that, sister, is true rebirth. Not something to impress him, but something that liberates you. He doesn't come back because you call him. He comes back because one day he realizes that the woman he left is no longer there. And if he does return, he no longer decides that you will, because the one who once begged for love is gone. And in her place stands a woman, whole, centered, and free. So the next time you feel like you miss him, ask yourself, do I really miss him? Or do I miss the version of myself who lost herself because of him? Remind yourself every day that you are not alone. You have you. And when you have you, you already have everything you need. Don't fear the pain. Fear getting stuck in it. Because pain that doesn't transform turns into resentment. But pain that is consciously processed becomes wisdom. Today is not about how to get him back. It's about how to guarantee that you never lose yourself again to anyone. What you do with this pain will determine your story, whether you break or rebirth as the woman who cannot be replaced. And if after all this, he does return, it won't be to the same woman, because you won't be standing there with open arms and your heart in your hands. You will be focused, strong, centered on your growth, your goals, yourself. And from that place of wholeness, you will have the power to decide if he even deserves a place in your new life. So tell me, at what point in this video did you feel like I was speaking directly to you? What sentence made you think, that's exactly what I needed to hear right now? Your story can inspire other women. Women who today stand exactly where you stood yesterday,